right, I'm going to do a little morning update this morning, as well as some portfolio reviews later in the day, but just give a little brief video in the morning, kind of running down what happened yesterday and what the outlook is for today. So again, the trend is still up. Obviously, everything that's happened since Wednesday last week is, there's a lot politically, but politics don't predict prices. And however you may feel about everything that's going on, the fact is that the trend in the equity market is still higher. So if you look at NASDAQ, that trend is still higher above the range. Same thing for the E-mini S&Ps. These are the levels that I'm keeping my eye on, 3676. Again, yesterday was a down day. Today looks like it's opening up pretty small. If I run down through currencies, crypto, holding in here, see how today closes. I wouldn't say bearish. Near term, definitely some selling. But, I mean, given this run in Ethereum, for example, in this one, but it's going to be the same for Litecoin and Bitcoin. We'll get to those. But, still kind of hold it in here. As long as we don't really get any close below here, I think the trend is actually still higher. I'll put out a signal for Ethereum on a more shorter term time frame for a potential bounce. But some selling, but nothing really out of the ordinary given the move it's had. Euro Aussie, this is a play that's staying short this. Euro CAD, nothing. Euro Swiss, nothing. Euro Pound. So we're getting some breakdown now out of this range. Depending on how the next 8 hours are, it could be a signal of a further breakdown here. I might look to sell this. So we're finally getting some action there. Euro Yen, nothing, hanging out at the top end of the range. Euro New Zealand, now this is close to a potential reverse opportunity. Again, I'll send a signal if it comes. I think a lot of these are kind of just in no man's land. I mean, it's the same price it was on the 6th. So we just have to wait and see. The currency market, a lot of the times, will actually take its cue from the equity market and vice versa. See the pound getting some reversal moves, but again, the trend overall is still bearish, so I'm not looking to play the reversals to the upside for the pound and the euro against the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar unless we get more of a bear sign. And an example of that is pound Swiss. This trend is still higher. As long as risk is still on in the equity market, this trend should continue. You can see the same thing for the pound yen breaking out of the range. This is coming back into the range, pound New Zealand, similar to pound Aussie, but again, the overall trend is still bearish, so not really looking for any bullish opportunities there. Been tested on this pound dollar yesterday especially, but again, a big bounce back today, so we're happy with that. Gold, haven't sent the signal yet. I have this range area. I did a post about it on the site earlier in the week, I believe, or late last week, but the trend is still bearish, but I haven't sent the sell signal yet. I was looking for maybe more upside in here for an opportunity to sell, but nothing yet. Copper, despite yesterday selling, strong day today so far. Chain link, similar to Ethereum. Let's see if it can hold this low from this day. If it can, we're still looking for higher prices. If not, then this some immediate term area, it really needs to hold this. Really would need to hold inside here in order for the trend to still be intact. If not, it's definitely bearish, but I'll have a more zoomed in chart of that later. Litecoin, same thing. They all have this spike. So let's see how they react. This seems to be the line in the sand for a lot of them. That natural gas trade did not work. Kicking myself about that, not too happy about that. But here at range highs, we're looking for another opportunity. If it doesn't hold this range high here and can curl back in to the range, I'll be looking to sell again. Nikkei, same thing. We started with the Qs already, doing all right. New Zealand dollar, similar to Australian dollar, hanging out near the range extremes. So I guess against the euro and the pound, you can think about it as range lows, and against the against the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, highs. But there has been some selling, although the trend is still bullish, so no moves in that yet. Palladium, nothing. Platinum still hanging out near range highs. Trend is still bullish, but we cut that position last week. For now, not going to do anything with it. Russell still very strong based on the morning open. So again, the overall equity market trend is still higher. Still long the dollar against the Canadian dollar. Still think there's some opportunity here, even though it would probably do a lot better if the stock market sold off. There can be some uncorrelated moves, and this looks like a good reversal setup. So we're going to continue to hold that position, even though the dollar overall we're not in favor of. US dollar, Mexican peso, nothing. Looking to revisit that. Sent the signal out to sell the US dollar, South African rand earlier this morning at about 1583. Let me put that there. Or sorry, 1543, I think was the price. So looking for a play back into the range. See if we get that. VIX still elevated, but still think we're going to see lower prices. Ripple hanging around there. The Dow's starting the morning with some selling, but especially if you look at it versus the Russell. So this is some of the sector rotation stuff that's been happening. Banks, financials continuing to perform well. Some other internet stocks, not so much. Some other cyclicals, not so much. But again, the overall trend in the equity market still above this line in the sand here in the Dow at about 30,000. So not going to play it to the downside. Bonds, this trade has worked out well. We've gotten straight selling. I think price has to touch this 16705 area. It's the lows from the pandemic here. Now, what it does after that is no one knows. It looks a little stretched, and the rate of change is not really picking up. Now, I'm sure as it accounts for this move, as time goes forward, if we can stay down there, the rate of change will actually pick up. But for now, despite the straight down move, it's not really moving at any significant speed. We still haven't touched this 16705 area, so I'll wait to see that. But the downtrend trade is definitely still intact. Wheat play to the upside on this reversal, still intact. It's hanging out near range highs. We could see a breakout. Now let me just run through Aussie CAD, same thing. Aussie Swiss, same thing. It's Aussie Yen. This is the trend line to watch on a near-term basis, but the pivot trend here is at 78.85, so we're still well above it. Still well above the range here, so I'm still going to assume this continuation. But on a more near-term basis, I'm going to watch this trend line. If we get any selling below there, I take profits in that position. Aussie New Zealand still strong, but we have no play there. Aussie dollar, similar situation. Watching these levels, this pivot, this regression line. If we get any real selling below there, probably I'll take profits in that position and maybe look for a reversal trade. But for now, the trend is still higher. Bitcoin entering this range here. Same thing for all the cryptos. Can use the low of the big spike down day yesterday. It's kind of a line in the sand. Shouldn't get any close below there. Really, on a near-term basis, if we do, then the trend is definitely more bearish. CAD Swiss, CAD Yen hanging out near range highs. Nothing new. Crude oil still surging higher, still bullish. This goes into the bond play and the overall inflation play. I mean, the way crude oil has moved kind of points to higher inflation in the marketplace. Not an opinion, not based on how I feel about potential universal basic income or the stimulus that could be coming or anything of that nature, but just what price is telling me. Crude oil is remaining strong. So, and although vaccines are being distributed, not at any super high volume. So it's not as if travel has picked up in any way other than it was only but a week or two ago, but yet prices are still higher. So that's significant. And the ES is holding in here for now. If I go to, let's go to some of the stocks that everyone is talking about. Tesla up again today, big. Stock is unbelievable. Trend is still bullish. It's definitely a little stretched. Let me show you on this one. Actually, I got better markings here. So yeah, still stretched in the top of this regression. Not a buyer, not a seller, just fun to watch. Nothing really new there. Let me see what else. I know there was some news on a signal I sent out recently. XP, the Chinese electric car company, I think got some funding for the state, so that's positive for there. So that's starting the day well. Li Auto not giving the same return. What did I want to talk about? Let me see. I think by and large it's a quiet morning. Dexicom was a signal that I sent out. I had a bad day yesterday, but I'm still going to continue with that. As long as it stays above the 345 area, I still think the trend is still bullish. Let's see any other recent ones I'm interested in to see how they react. Snapchat, nothing. Twitter. So I talked about selling a third of the position. I should have sold more. Let me see from where I was in that. So yeah, I mean, we've given up a chunk, more than half of where I bought from. So if you're still in it, I guess we can see if it holds the low from the sell-off. You might as well be patient with it because it could easily bounce back up into this range. Despite everything that's going on, it's a unique asset, and there's only so many Twitters in the market, and again, maybe all of this is actually a sign that they'll get their act together in some way, shape, or form that the market actually likes, but we'll see. If you're not in it already, it's definitely a no touch for now, for sure. Also talking about plug. I mean, again, I don't even know this is essentially doubled in a week. So if you're in it, fantastic. I definitely would be trimming profits for sure, just based on the behavior alone. I don't need to know anything about the company or the space. This sort of parabolic behavior will not last, guaranteed. So if you're in it, trim some. If you're not in it, don't short it. I wouldn't even really play the options because way too volatile. I mean, I guess if you're buying options, you only have the risk that you put in, but because of the premiums, the risk reward is not even really too good. So just a no touch. But Plug is Plug and Tesla. Um, Bitcoin a little bit, although it finally came down to earth in these past couple of days. But you know, it's a little bubblish just from a sentiment standpoint. So just be careful with some of these stocks that are big movers if you're trading them. I mean, as far as our portfolio is concerned, I think we've been, pretty pretty diversified. I think when I look through the portfolio that we have, it's pretty diversified. There's only a couple big high flyers like Baidu, who had its sell off yesterday. It's holding in there a little bit today, but we're comfortable we bought that at 133. So we're going to continue to just let that ride as long as it can stay above 200. But, all of these stocks, they won't, grow to the moon. And then there can even be selling within the more popular ones. So we talked about Twitter. I cut Facebook. I think Facebook might be headed down to the range low here, 244. We do Amazon. See what that's doing. Weak. Nothing really there. Netflix, again, weak. So Netflix, I actually am going to trim some today. And let's see how it reacts at 484. I'm going to keep a little bit of the position because the trend is still technically bullish, still in this range, and we're still above the 1-year moving average. So, the overall picture is not bearish, but this selling recently concerns me. Because the market has held up much better than these stocks, and normally these stocks are leading the market. So that's a little worrying. But in general, the trend is still intact. So we'll wait to see how the day unfolds, and then at the end of the day, we'll run through the whole portfolio and see if we can see anything underneath the surface that gives us any other indication of what's going on out there. But for now, stay the course.